The main point of the story is that this spirit science person is a rapist. I assume many of you guys are familiar with a channel called Spiritverse, aka Spirit Science. I have never covered this channel on my channel at all. Mostly because covering this guy is kind of like a Vosh thing. Like, Vosh was the one who kind of started covering this channel as far as left-wing streamers go, and I get accused of copying Vosh enough for my own liking. But today, I found out something about this guy that made me decide I'm going to talk about him on stream today. Assuming you somehow don't know about spirit science, my literal only way of knowing who this person is due to Vosh reacting to some of his videos. This guy is a nut job, just a fucking nut job. Cult leader, believes in just the most ridiculous pseudoscience bullshit. Believes in space Jews. Yes, the space Jews were a thing that he talked about. Yes, the space Hebrews. Definitely like just downright insane. Okay. He somehow surpassed the Jews or aliens from Earth feuder who weren't emotional enough. Yeah, he apparently did surpass that. Matter of fact, if there's a video that you guys would prefer for me to watch of his, just to demonstrate what he's like, you know what? The Spirit Science Hidden Human History movie. This is from 10 years ago. Let's see what this guy has to say before I get into his dark secret that we're going to be discussing. A secret that has not been talked about since 2017 on the whole internet. I literally searched the whole internet looking for any mention of this story. It has not been mentioned since 2017, and it is bad. So let's go ahead and watch what our boy Spirit Science has to say, and you guys will get a decent idea of what this dude's all about pretty quick.
Over the last few thousand years, we have warped our own history. Our stories of the past have been changed, altered, mistranslated, and completely been misunderstood as we rounded the curve on the precession of the equinox. Modern views of our history account for many things, but completely dismiss many very—
Okay, don't expect to understand half the words he uses here. Very much like conservative reactionary content, this is riddled with buzzwords that mean absolutely nothing. If you're not already part of the cult and not already aware, it'll make no sense to you whatsoever. But it is meant to sound smart and impressive to you if you don't know what it means, that maybe then you'll take this guy more seriously. He's going to use a lot of space words. He's going to use a lot of sciencey sounding words. The ones that are real, he's going to misuse, and the rest of it's going to be mostly made up shit. So let's go ahead and watch.
very important pieces in the puzzle. For example, the pyramids of Giza. There is no modern theory that accounts for how these could have been made. Individually, each block cannot be pulled.
Yes, there is. We're pretty sure we know how they were made. Very common trend among conspiracy theorists, especially the racist ones, is to insist that any marvel of the world created by brown people must not have happened. It must have been aliens or magic. Like, very commonly, literally any impressive structure that was made by brown people historically must have been made by aliens or some shit. It's very common. The History Channel is basically the same shit at this point. Their ancient aliens bullshit. It's embarrassing. It's just downright embarrassing. We can make a fucking pyramid, all right? The bottom starts wide, the top starts thin. We've been able to, we could make, they literally did a demonstration where they made a smaller version of a pyramid from scratch with nothing but the methods they expected the ancient Egyptians would have used. And they did it, and it worked. You just have to scale it up. It's known to be possible. Have you ever seen an igloo get made? It's very similar to the process of making a big igloo. Like only sandstone and snow blocks and ice blocks are very different.
Even with 50 men pulling it, let alone drag it for hundreds of miles and then stack them on top of each other 450 feet in the air in such a precise way that even modern technology can't achieve.
But it can, though. I saw guys do it. I guess this was 10 years ago, but still. This guy's insane, by the way, and a liar, so it's not like this person. I shouldn't format this like a response. I'm just going to let you guys watch for a few minutes to see how insane he is, and then I'll get to the segment.
To mention having lined up precisely with both Orion's belt, a golden mean, and Fibonacci spiral, and be a primary nodal point of every sacred site on the planet. And that's just one example. Our history is not what we think. Many things that we've been led to believe to be true simply is not. This has got to be the biggest. The field of archaeology recently saw some monumental discoveries that are rocking the foundation of what we think we know about ourselves. Many ancient cities such as Babylon, Erech, and Akkad that were written about in the Bible and other ancient texts were always thought to be myths because no one could prove.
Fibonacci spiral? Does he mean Archimedes spiral? No, I think a Fibonacci spiral is real, isn't it? Am I thinking something else? Did he say something else? I don't... Oh, my bad. I'm using the wrong term. Fibonacci? No. No, it's a Fibonacci spiral. It's this thing. This spiral thing here. In geometry, a golden spiral is a logarithmic spiral whose growth factor of... What is that? I don't know what that symbol is. It's a little bit high level for me, dog. The golden ratio. This is the golden ratio, is what it's nicknamed. The golden ratio is supposed to be this like perfect. The joke is that the location of the pyramids, or not the joke, the meme is the conspiracy is that like the positioning of the Great Pyramid of Giza is located in such a way in which, with certain constellations, it's lined up somehow. I don't even know how the fucking like the graph he used there, the graphic he even used there, was supposed to demonstrate this with a Fibonacci sequence, and that's the golden ratio, and so that must mean that there's more significance to the location of the Great Pyramids than just whatever. It's a really weird like explanation for how there could be some level of spiritual higher power significance to the creation and location of this wonder of the world, which he claims isn't even possible to achieve today. Do you really think we couldn't build one of the Great Pyramids of Giza today with modern technology? He said you can't move. How many tons did he say? The bricks that moved the here. How heavy is a block from the Great Pyramids? I think he said it was like 2.5 tons. You know that like trucks can carry that much, right? A school bus weighs about 1 ton, doesn't it? Right? Wasn't there a guy who was able to pull a full school bus with chains on his back over his shoulders? That alone is like 1 ton, right? I'm pretty sure a school bus is like exactly a ton, right? Cars are about a ton. People can lift cars when they have enough of an adrenaline rush. How is he going to say that 15 full-grown men can't drag 2.5 tons on like the systems that they built? The idea of like the systems they built was they were using logs to roll a lot of these to take away from the amount of effort it would take, because believe it or not, just because the ancient Egyptians tended to be brown does not mean they were too stupid to know that if you roll something heavy on something, that significantly reduces the amount of energy you have to put into moving it. That's something we figured out way before the pyramids were built. But, you know, I don't think I need to explain why this is stupid, but just watch.
Then, one of them was found. This led to finding another, and then another. Inside one of these cities, archaeologists found thousands of cylindrical clay tablets hidden deep within the earth under this ancient city. The tablets were completely covered in text written in cuneiform and tell an ancient story that spans back over hundreds of thousands of years on this planet, describing the history of the earth and the origins of the human race in great detail. Now, the first thing we all want to do is just say that they were making things up. They didn't know
this didn't happen.
The history of Earth, and they were simply creating tales to explain where they came from. However, if this was true, how could...
If you're looking for like an actual takedown of this video, go watch Vosh's response to it. I'm pretty sure he's watched this one before. I'm not here to respond to this guy. I'm just giving you guys that may not be aware of him a decent understanding of what he's like before we talk about the reason I'm here today.
We explain how they knew so many things about the universe that would seem impossible to know. Not only did the Dogons know all about the distant planets in the solar system, but so did the Sumerians.
We're gonna get to some interesting stuff pretty soon.
They describe them all in great detail in these Sumerian records. They also knew about the precession of the equinox. That's a tough one for a historian to understand, because it takes over 2,000 years of continuous observation to actually learn that the Earth has a wobble. The Sumerians had this information from day one of their civilization.
I don't think so. I don't think that's true. Wait, the vast majority of tendencies that we know when it comes to the Earth globe model are testable with going back as far as like the 12th century. Like, I'm pretty sure we've been able to detect there's been a wobble to the Earth. Wait, the wobble to the Earth is how seasons are explained. If they were able to figure out that the Earth was round by then, they would have known that the Earth's wobble would be the explanation for seasons. That's all they'd need to know, is that seasons are a thing and the Earth is round and it spins and it circles the sun. That's all they would have need to know to figure out, oh, the Earth is probably like wobbling on its axis to cause seasons to occur. You can figure out the Earth has a wobble in 1 month. Constellations aren't there every day. Yeah, the night sky moves. Like we see like that star's in a different place than it used to be like a month ago. We don't need to look for 2,000 years to notice a difference. I mean, there are very small changes we notice that we can figure these things out with. Like a lot of these measurements are literally like measurements taken on a much smaller scale and then scaled up to the scale of what that is trying to be measured. Very commonly, that's what's done as far as like being able to see these things. Like a very good example of a Earth is round experiment you can do at home. Dig a hole, okay? Dig a hole in like New York City, all right? Dig a hole in New York City, about, I don't know, 5 feet deep. Who cares? Put a ruler down in it and see where the shadow falls on the ruler or the yardstick or whatever. Then have somebody over Discord at the exact same time in, I don't know, fucking California, do the exact same thing and measure where the shadow begins on his rule stick. Yeah, a lot of you might have done this in like college classes because it was one of the very, very first ways that we figured out the Earth is round. It was one of the first experiments that proved it. Very easy to do at home. You can literally do it with like a pen pal across the country or across the world or anything like that, or across the state. I think it's even across like if you're on like one side of like, I don't know, Tennessee, and your friend is on the western side of Tennessee, that might be enough distance to determine a significant enough difference in the shadow to determine, oh shit, we're on a round object and the sun is hitting that part of the Earth in a different way than it's hitting this part of the Earth. Like, that'll do it too. Just ride a plane. No. The measurements have to be taken simultaneously, though. That's the thing. They have to be taken simultaneously in order to be able to be sure the Earth was in the same exact place when the measurements were taken. The time having passed between measurements will obviously change the results of the experiment. It could be from different cities. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take that much distance, but I mean, it's like even, I think it's the Brooklyn Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge was built with the curvature of the Earth in mind. One side of the bridge is slightly raised to the other side of the bridge to account for the Earth's curvature, specifically, because even across like the Hudson River, there's enough of an in like between like Manhattan Island and Brooklyn, there's enough Earth curvature that bridges have to be built considering it, just by a little bit, but enough, you know? Of course, due to rotation, the Earth deviates from sphere by about 0.3%. How often, Homo sapiens? Like a year? That sounds insane to be happening over the course of a year. Jesus Christ. All right, let's continue.
A man named Zacharias Sitchin spent a long time transcribing these texts and had put them all together in his books, but many others have also done the same, and the interpretations are always very similar. Not only that, but Thoth has also shared information about this with us, and matches the Sumerian records. Adamus and other channelings discuss it as well. If you see all of these records and sources,
Hail Sobek, true.
There's a huge connection between the stories. Now,
honestly, hail Khonshu, all right? Khonshu's where it's at. Khonshu gives people moon powers. That's dope.
Now, this story spans back hundreds of thousands of years into our past. It talks about Tiamat and Nibiru, the Nephilim, seeding the human race, Adam and Eve, and the children of Lemuria. This portion of the story is really interesting, but not the most
This motherfucker starts going on about how Moon Knight is real. I'm gonna lose my shit.
crucial to know. We're not going to be covering this at this time. We are, however, going to be picking up the story at the end of Lemuria and discussing the events of Atlantis up to present day. What I'm going to tell you is a mix of what these records
He believes in the lost city of Atlantis.
say, along with what Thoth has told us for some finer details. Please have your own experience while watching this. I'm not going to tell you that this is fact. I am simply saying, decide for yourself.
Okay, that was the intro sequence of the video. This is what I'm going to be talking about, okay? This story came out in 2017, okay? I was able to find a few Reddit posts about it, I should say. It was a drama that happened a long time ago, back in like 2017. Spirit Science hasn't really gotten any shit for it recently, hasn't really affected their channel, and it never really got that much attention. In fact, it was really just covered up and sort of buried, more or less, and it is bad. So this comes from evonews.com. I don't know, maybe this is like it's possible this story doesn't have as much validity to it as it's said to, but people have sent me this, and the stuff that I read about it seemed pretty legit, and the way the story and accusations go seem pretty damn legit. Creator of Spirit Science, Jordan Duchinks, I believe his name is pronounced, admits to rape, and Blake Dyer, member of Teal Swan's team. For those that don't know, Teal Swan is a fellow cult leader and crazy person. Teal Swan is an American spiritual teacher. Swan's teachings on how to manage mental health issues have often been described as unconventional and potentially hazardous, and has received criticism for how she attracts fans. If a Wikipedia article starts with, this person is very controversial and has received criticism for blank, then we might be dealing with somebody that, because like Wikipedia can't just say this person is a horrible human being. All they can do is sort of objectively report what they've said and done. So when they say when they mean this person's horrible and they're hated by most of society, and rightfully so, they'll just say, this person has received much criticism for this, and this. And here's why these things are also been fact-checked as wrong. And they'll, like, say this person is, like, a peddler of misinformation, a piece of shit or whatever, but they won't outright say it. Like, Wikipedia is usually formatted that way. Anyway, creator of Spirit Science Jordan Dunix admits to rape, and Blake Dyer, member of Teal Swan's team, blames survivor. In 2012, Laurie McKellen was coercively raped by the creator of Spirit Science, now Spirit Verse. He's rebranded, which is understandable following this. In 2012, Tori McLellan was coercively raped by the creator of Spirit Science, Jordan. When she spoke out, Blake Dyer, a disciple of spiritual leader Teal Swan and COO of her company, blamed Tori publicly. Student of Teal Swan Cassie Larson advocates for Tori and other survivors of sexual violence and explains her perspective. When Tori McLellan told her former friend and self-professed spiritual healer Teal Swan that she was raped by the creator of Spirit Science, Jordan Dunix, she was greeted with sympathy that later turned into victim blaming and denial. On July 2017, Blake Dyer, COO of Teal's company, Teal LLC, continued this trend, stating that Tori had poor boundaries and that Jordan was innocent of this crime, despite Jordan's taped confession. In his article, Dyer broke Dunix's anonymity by mentioning his name and credentials in conjunction with this case. The rape occurred as a result of coercion, which is not included in the state of Oregon's legal definition of rape. Yes, coercion in the state of Oregon is not legally considered rape. Yep. Thus, because Tori eventually consented... Oh, yeah, by the way, when people say we don't live in a rape culture, you point that shit out. Thus, because Tori eventually consented, albeit involuntarily, the courts failed to prosecute. In the light of this, Swan and Dyer's victim-blaming narrative emerged. Remedying this act of injustice requires us to listen to Tori's story and reconsider the way the state of Oregon and other states define rape. Tori's story. In 2012, Dunix and Tori were traveling together. While in Portland, Tori shut herself in a room to be alone. Dunix entered the room and sat next to her. He turned her head to face his and uncrossed her arms from her chest. He removed both of their clothes and initiated a chakra healing in which he kissed each one of Tori's chakras from her head to her vagina. In case you're wondering where the chakras happen to be, my friends, in case you happen to wonder where literally all the fucking chakras are, they're in the spots that you would most want to put your mouth on a woman if you're like a straight guy. So, yeah, it was definitely sexual. Kissing, so you got the pussy, the stomach, like belly button, the titties, the upper titties, the neck, the face, and the head. Like, the head is the least, like, the top of the head's, like, the least sussy area to be putting your mouth on, you know? Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so just clarifying where the locations these areas are, by the way, you know? Tori states, I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I wanted to be alone. Dunix asked Tori to have sex, telling her it would heal her root and sacral chakras. Tori said no, but Dunix continued asking until she involuntarily consented. I like that term, involuntarily consent. I don't know if I like that term. I feel like the term consent needs to be left out of it. It's like the term child porn is one that, like, a lot of people are trying to phase out when it comes to, like, the anti-child trafficking, and, like, the figures that are most engaging in advocacy for victims of that kind of stuff are pushing for the term CSAM, child sexual assault material. I agree with that wording more because porn kind of implies consent and, like, payment, and there's the porn industry exists, and I feel like drawing comparison, I don't know. It seems like it could be a somewhat unhelpful definition or word to describe this type of material, child porn. So CSAM seems much more effective because it leaves out a term that sort of implies consent in an act that can, by definition, never be consensual. So yeah, Tori cried during the entire act. That's usually not a good sign of consent, but Dunix continued until he climaxed. I guess we know what he's into. Tori gathered evidence between August and September of 2013 2013 via Facebook. A friend of Tori saved all the information and sent it to Tori in 2015, who presented the evidence to police in July of 2016. The evidence proved sufficient enough that Tori was given an advocate and a detective to investigate her case. After several months of investigating, officers of the Portland Police Department recorded a conversation between Tori and Dunix on February 7, 2017. In this pretext call, Tori asked Dunix why he continued pressuring her after her repeated refusal. He replied, "I was possessed." That's a creative one. Tori asks why what he states desire. Sorry, Tori asks by what, and he states desire, lust, greed, power. The way people were treating me. It was as if I was on cocaine all the time without even having tried it. Pussy. This portion, no, don't try cocaine. This portion of the conversation, transcribed from a second audio recording on February 10th, also in cooperation with Portland police, features Dunix's admission of guilt. All right, let's read the exchange. Tori, after all of this, how do you think I felt that day? Like the worst day ever. Try again. I like you wanted to die, like you wanted to kill me. I don't know if I'd go that far. I wouldn't blame you. Well, how do you think I felt? Traumatized. Yes. I didn't, looking at it now, I can't see very clearly, but traumatized is the answer. If you would have asked me that day with the awareness I had at the time, I would have said, I would have hoped you felt supported and loved. Tori, why do you think I felt traumatized after that day? Well, that's what I'm saying. I can see very clearly now. Tori, but I want to know why. Why do you think I felt traumatized? Because you were raped. Damn. Him just outright admitting that he raped her to her in text. That is some red-handed type shit. After the attack, for 4.5 years, Tori remained silent. She didn't report the rape because she feared being demonized, losing relationships and friends, and having her sanity questioned. This is all what proceeded to happen when she came forward, ironically enough. In an article on her blog, the Ghost, the G-O-H-S-T, that is not how you spell ghost. But I guess it's a way to spell ghost, I suppose. The Ghost titled, Sue Me, I waited to report. Tori writes, between the thousands of followers, some really intense, all his manic ids, I wasn't about to tell anyone. I was paranoid. All his manic ideologues, I wasn't going to tell anyone. I was paranoid that he was more powerful than what he'd already proved. I was paranoid he's come out to my state again to do something worse. But in 2016, Tori discovered that Dunix was publicizing Teal's work and that Blake Dyer had set up a meeting between my rapist organization and Teal Swan's organization. Tori confronted Swan, who is alleged to have responded, "It's business, and besides, I don't believe you were raped." This was the final straw that pushed Tori to speak out and stand up for herself and others who have been victims of rape by coercion. Blake Dyer blames Tori. On July 2nd, 2017, Blake Dyer published the art. Okay, well, I mean, the Blake Dyer Teal Swan person that's working with Teal Swan is not really relevant to this, but just outright stating that he doesn't believe she was raped, engaging in victim blaming, made a Facebook post claiming that Tori was just lying. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much else to this story other than like, here's who spoke out in favor, who spoke out against. The main point of the story is that this spirit science person is a rapist. I know, you guys probably didn't expect the dark secret spirit science has hidden to be that he raped a woman, huh? I imagine most of you guys watching this video today did not expect to be where that was going. If you were a fan of Vosh who happened to have discovered the Spirit Science channel from the hilarious videos of him dunking on this guy, just know that even more derision is warranted towards this individual. Not only are they a psychopath who is spreading pseudoscience and misinformation to millions of people, or not millions, but over 1 million people, hundreds of thousands to be more accurate, but they're also a rapist who is continuing to make money and prolong their career on the very platform that allowed them to get into the position in which they raped that woman. I come back and Zan said Spiritverse what? Yes, Spiritverse raped a woman, admittedly, back in 2012, I believe it was. Yeah, 2012, I think was the year, is what the article said. So yeah, pretty fucked up shit. Pretty damn fucked up. Didn't Vosh already say that Spirit Science was a rapist? Did he already know? I thought this was going to be a surprise to him as well. Regardless, though, took a little bit of digging to find the whole story about that. Some people just like told me, hey, Zan, did you know the spirit science guy that Vosh covered is a rapist? And I was like, what? So I Googled it, and I did some scrolling, did some reading, and I found out about all of that. And I thought it'd be a good thing to cover. More to that guy than you could even realize. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that the crazy Nazi space Jew believing spirit science guy would also be a rapist who would use his position of power as essentially a cult leader to coerce women into having sex with him? Who would have thought? Who could have possibly predicted something like that? It's not like that's with every single cult leader who talks about this kind of shit. Going back to as far as we've categorized that kind of stuff, hasn't used their position of power as leader of a cult to get sex and coerce people into giving them sex. It's not like, Jared Leto? Never heard of him. You guys do know that Jared Leto is a cult leader, right? Like, he literally has people pay to sleep in the same bed as him on a private island where they do days where they all wear white. They do kumbaya circles, and they get tattoos of his, like, symbol on them. And it's all just a big cult retreat type thing that he does for his fan base. Yeah. No, it's really fucked up. I believe he's also been accused of some fucked up shit. But yeah, Jared Leto is like a really bad person, like a really, really bad person. Space Jews from the future, the elite are from Mars. Oh, yeah. The space Jews are time travelers as well, in his theory. God, I almost want to watch that video now just to laugh. We got other stuff to cover. Regardless, though, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, ring the bell icon if you want to see more from me. Follow my social medias linked down below. And of course, if you want to support me financially to help get me into that Shadow the Hedgehog onesie, you can donate, subscribe, gift a sub over on my website, Xanderhal.com, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. But it's up to you how you support me. Liking the video and the stream is completely free and does a lot to help me as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see all of you later.